I'm Bill Treasurer, and the title of the book is Courage Goes to Work: How to Build Backbones, Boost Performance, and Get Results. I am a person that has operated in fear a lot of times in my life. I used to be a professional high diver. I used to dive off of 100-foot platforms into teeny pools for a living, scared to death because I'm a high diver who's afraid of heights. It just so happens I hate being controlled. My first book, Right Risk, was about what I wanted to know about risk-taking. Courage Goes to Work is about what I learned in the last 5 years from my clients and all of the client engagements that my company has been involved with. And so what this book does, and I think it's really sort of the originality of the book, is that it buckets 3 types of behaviors. It takes all of the behaviors that when we're engaged in a courageous act, and it's able to sift and separate them into 3 large categories of behaviors that I call the 3 buckets of courage. The first bucket deals with the courage of action, or what I call try courage. It's the courage of first attempts. The first time you became a manager, for example, or the first time you took on a big, hairy project where others had failed. It took try courage, the courage of action or initiative, to do that. The second bucket of courage is what I call trust courage. And it's not the courage of action. It's the courage of inaction and the courage of letting go and following somebody else's lead. A good example of that in the world of work is delegating and saying, I'm going to entrust you to do a good job here and not hover over you, although my temptation is to grab the task back. It takes a lot of trust to be able to do that. The third bucket of courage is what I call tell courage. It's the courage of voice. It's the courage of me raising my hand in the meeting and saying the thing that is against the popular opinion. It's me being the devil's advocate, not just to stir things up, because I really firmly believe with conviction what I'm about to say. So I would say that as long as the courage that you have is towards a worthwhile destination, and this goes to the metaphor of the cover of the book, there's a person leaping, but they're not just leaping ill-founded, they're leaping to a destination. So you should have a purposeful, meaningful destination that you're heading to. One of the things that I talk about in the book is the importance of the holy question, the 4 most important words that you'll ever read in the English language. What do you want? And it's amazing how many people can't answer that question with specificity. They can tell you what they don't want and how miserable they are about all the complaints and problems and excuses that they have. But to come down and say, well, what is it that you actually want? Then it forces accountability. So I think that the uniqueness of Courage Goes to Work is it provides people a framework to consider which bucket do they have that's full already. Some people are great tell courage people, but aren't very good at trusting others. Well, then they need to fill up their trust bucket. So it helps people understand which bucket they need to have full, and it gives them strategies, specific strategies for each bucket in order to help it become more full. So I hope that this book inspires people to be courageous in an action-oriented way, where they're actually doing things to help them be more courageous people and more executives, and therefore adding more value to their company in the long run.